State lawmakers in New Mexico have launched an investigation into a ranch once owned by late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. A bipartisan panel will investigate allegations that the ranch may have facilitated sex abuse and sex trafficking. They had their first meeting this morning.
Anyone that has information about Jeffrey Epstein's activities in New Mexico, we would love for you to come forward to us. We will provide a safe space to have that conversation and have the legal infrastructure to ensure that we can get you on the record. And if you would like your identity protected, you can come forward. Subpoenas will very likely be issued for those that do not want to voluntarily come forward and speak to us as a subcommittee. We will not only be scrutinizing and reviewing all available documentation for subpoenas to be promulgated to different folks, but there are already folks of interest pertaining to Epstein's activities and criminal conduct that we will be looking into.
CBS News correspondent Ian Lee joining us live. So Ian, obviously when the Epstein files came out, the Epstein library on the DOJ's website, there were just millions of data points. And it's one thing to get all of this information. It's another thing to piece it all together. We know the island has gotten a lot of public attention. But Ian, what do we know about this ranch property?
Yeah, so this Zorro Ranch is a sprawling ranch in New Mexico. Jeffrey Epstein bought it in 1993 and owned it until he passed. Now, when you look at the Epstein files, there are some parts of it that mention this ranch, and one in particular has a lot of people asking questions, and that mentions 2 foreign girls who were murdered and buried on that ranch. I spoke with State Representative Andrea Romero about that and the people of interest that they would like to speak to. This is what she had to say.
Going through the files, I think as many people are in real time, even as we've been setting up the Truth Commission, while we've been taking votes to get this set up, we've learned new information just in the last 2 weeks. So the list keeps growing on these persons of interest. They can be anyone from alleged perpetrators to those that were involved in activities, were witnesses. And certainly many of the victims who we know for years have said that they were participant to these crimes, victims of these crimes. And so for us, it's basically looking at every single document that involves any activities that happened in New Mexico and connecting the dots on putting the whole story together. This is one of the alarming possible mishandlings of justice that we know was on the record, and we've seen in the recent data dump of the Epstein files. To know that somebody reported possible bodies being buried on this property is horrifying and must be brought to justice immediately. We know that the new owners of the ranch, again, the ranch was sold without it being seized from the Epstein estate at the time, even though our Department of Justice in New Mexico had requested for that property to be seized and for an investigation to be done. It was never done by the federal government.
So that ranch has not been investigated, as far as we know, by federal authorities. And so speaking to Representative Romero, she said that New Mexico authorities are working with the new ranch owner to get on there and look for any bodies. She also mentioned the new ranch owner said that he is going to be cooperative. And he also tweeted out, Don Huffines, he is a politician from Texas, and he tweeted, put on X, "We have always maintained an open line of communication with local authorities. No law enforcement agency has ever approached me to request access, and I've always said unequivocally that any such request would be met with immediate access and full cooperation." So right now, it does look like New Mexico authorities are going to try to get access to the ranch to really start looking to see if bodies are actually buried out there.
That would be quite a discovery. We'll have to see what the investigation shows. Let me ask you this. The public discourse and the criticism really has been, a lot of the frustration has been centered around the fact that many people feel that not enough investigating is being done. Clearly, this group, this committee seems to be taking the reins on what they can control on that front. What do we know about this committee who is taking this on now?
Yeah, you are seeing kind of states, what it may look like, picking up the slack, and New Mexico is leading the way when it comes to this ranch. You have this Truth Commission. It was voted unanimously by the House that to put it together, they have a $2 million budget. They got to file reports by January of next year. But one thing that was important was it being bipartisan. This is what Representative Romero had to say about that.
So critically important that the public knows that we are not playing political games around the importance of this investigation. This bipartisan commission is fully committed to what we're trying to discover. We need to know what Jeffrey Epstein was doing in New Mexico, how he was doing it, and why he was doing it. What we need to do as a commission is bring the truth to light. The public deserves it. We deserve to know how this was able to happen in our state to strengthen our laws and ensure that this never happens again.
So they're going to be working with local New Mexico law enforcement to see if any criminal charges can be brought by anyone that they uncover. The one thing, though, they're asking the public for is if anyone knows anything, to call their tip line, to let authorities know. They say that they can be, their identities can be concealed, they can be protected, but they really want the public to come out and help them with this investigation.
All right, Ian Lee reporting live for us. Thank you so much for answering our questions.